Good day, grade 12, and welcome to Matriekklas and our focus today, English First Additional Language. Now, I'm Mr. Damien Magerman, and I love this subject because this subject can give you an A only if you work, right? Now, our focus for this lesson is most importantly question 5 in paper 1. Yes, question 5. It is the one question we do the worst in, and it's the one question we are supposed to be scoring the most marks. You should be scoring 15 and above out of 20 for this question. But we tend to make silly mistakes, and this impacts on the final mark. Now, if I were you, I would ensure I get 15 to 18, 19 out of 20 instead of getting a 10 or 5. So, our focus would be exactly question 5 and how we would answer the questions in question 5. Okay, so let's have a look. So, just a few things on paper 1. I will not go through everything, but most importantly, you need to understand, right? This question paper you're going to write first. So, thus prepare thoroughly for this question paper. Okay, it obviously assesses a few skills, right? Your language abilities. So, we would look at comprehension, your summary, visual literacy, and then obviously language. So most importantly, just prepare for the question paper. It counts 80 marks and 20% towards that final mark. So utilize your time in preparing and also in the examination. Those 2 hours, utilize it effectively, right? I cannot stress that enough. We move on. Now the layout of the question paper, obviously grade 12, we look at, and most importantly, this is your first question, basic errors, simple errors, right? We've got parts of speech, direct, indirect speech, active, passive voice, the tag question, which we tend to get wrong, negative sentences, joining sentences, choosing the correct word in brackets, and I mean, obviously, choosing the correct word shouldn't be difficult, degrees of comparison, synonym, antonym, which we tend to forget as well, homophone, homonym, and then verb tenses. So these are just the layout of the topics in the question paper for question 5, right? So we are going to just focus on a few of them, not everything, but just a few in this lesson. So let's first look at the basic errors. How should I identify them? Read the text, ladies and gentlemen. Read the text. You will see there it says, read the text. Why do I repeat reading the text? A lot of us, when we get the question paper and we look at question 5, you just want to start. I don't understand that. You immediately go to 5.1, 5.1.1, and you want to answer. It makes no sense to me. I must read the text. So if I read the text, I will be able to identify the errors. And what types of errors would I be able to identify? Right. So we look at spelling errors. I mean, come on. Honestly, it's in front of you. If you're going to read it, you'll be able to see the spelling error. Concord errors, right? Does the subject and the verb agree? And then punctuation errors. But you see, the problem with the punctuation errors, if I don't know my punctuation and the function of it, then I'm not going to identify the punctuation error. Thus, I must ensure that what I was taught when I was in grade 1 to 3, 4 to 6, 7 to 9, and now in the FAD phase, that I remember these and not tell myself it's not important. Everything you learn in English is important, right? And then the last point here, do not create your own errors, please. People tend to create their own spelling mistakes for words which are spelled correctly. So if I were you, I would know words. How would I know words? How would I broaden my vocabulary? Through my dictionary. Through discussions with people where I hear them using words I don't know and go and find out what these words mean, right? Using synonyms in my writing of my paper 3 text. And in that way, I broaden my vocabulary, okay? So we move on further into a question, right? So where do I find this question, you might ask? In my past paper grade 12. Where is it accessible? DBE website. All you need to do, go onto Google, type in DBE past papers, and you will be given past papers for different years and also different subjects. Okay, so let's look at this question. Immediately my instruction tells me, read the passage text F below, right? Which has some deliberate errors and answer the set questions. Now in my mind, I need to know and understand, okay? After having read the instruction, immediately, I must be able to read the text because that's what the instruction tells me to do. So if I read the text, I'd be able to identify that there are errors, okay? But we don't have enough time today for me to still read the text with you. But let us just look at the errors. Immediately tells me 5.1.1, correct a single error in each of the following sentences. Write down only, very important, only the question numbers and the words you have corrected. So number A says, just like the people in most countries, South Africans love music. That is just number A. Now if I look at number A, it looks right, doesn't it? No, it does not. There's an error. What is my error? Immediately I see an error. So I identify the error, okay? And I indicate it as A. I read the sentence again and I see countries does not look right. Thus, it says just like the people in most countries, and countries then referring to plural. Thus, my response would be countries because it is plural. Are you with me? There I am correct and I am awarded my mark because countries plural is exactly what is asked in my text. Then number B says, South Africa is home to many award-winning artists. Now I am certain the students who wrote this paper didn't get this one correct because we think that sentence is correct. Come I show you the answer. So number B is actually award-winning. That's my answer. Award-winning. This, ladies and gentlemen, my hyphen, right, hyphenates that word, right? So automatically, I would get the mark, right? Number C. Number C says, added to the list are the Ndlovu Youth Choir, the latest group to make the country proud. Now if I read it correctly, it says the Ndlovu Youth Choir, thus making it one. So I cannot make use of the word are. Instead, my answer is, right? Added to the list is the Ndlovu Youth Choir. Look at that. Look at how easy, simple that is. Then I have number D. Their performances on the show have made them a global sensation. Now let me take you to the text itself. So I'm going to look there, apologies. I'm going to look in my text for their performances on the show have made them a global sensation, right? So I've identified it and I look at the text and I'm like, okay, so what could be the error there? Where exactly could it fit in my response? What is wrong? So immediately I read the sentence again after having identified it. And now the there looks wrong because the there is not the actual answer. Instead, it should be there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I've now got the mark. So I got 4 marks, correct. Okay? All I did, I took my time to identify. I took my time, right? It's simple to identify. If I think of there, right? I think of there. So what do? Right? Teach yourself to do this. Right? So there we've got that. And all we do, we add a smile and 2 eyes. That there is a person. Then I speak of this there. And all I do here, I provide this arrow and it speaks of place. As simple as that. Easy, easy, easy. But this is what we tend to forget. Basics. Thus, these are simple errors. Okay? Let's just look at another one before you are going to do that on your own when you have the time to prepare for the examination. Right. So 5.1.1. Immediately, like I said, we're not going to read the text, but you need to read the text. But if I read the sentences, number 8 tells me every January you promise yourself that you will get healthier and fitter. Right? What does that provide me? Immediately it says healthier and fitter. Now, if I were you, and I know my vocabulary, I would know that number A is healthier. Thus, it is spelt incorrectly on there. Healthier. Right? Number B says, it's time you put your health back at the top of your priority list. Now, it must tell me it is time. Thus, there's a punctuation error. It should be it's with an apostrophe or it is. So there I've got a punctuation error. Okay? Number C, packing yourself an unhealthy lunchbox is probably the last thing on your mind. That should be a and not an, because the an would fit in with what? Another vowel, right? If it was an unhealthy, then it would have worked. And then the last one, however, buying lunch every day is not only costly, but is also often unhealthy. Now, all I know is, for the years that I've taught English, unhealthy is not a word. It is unhealthy. So, what do I identify here? Right? There, spelling mistake. So I know that word was spelled wrong. There, punctuation. Right? So I note there's a punctuation error there. A concord error. And unhealthy spelling. As simple as that. I've identified the 4 errors. I got the marks, then I can move on to the next question. Utilize your time. Look at the past papers and ensure you get the best marks. Right? Let's move on. So, we ask ourselves the negative sentence. Now, what does negative mean? A negative thing means it didn't happen. Positive, it happened. And that is the way we would talk. Okay? So, a negative sentence, grade 12, is the easiest question in question 5. It's the one thing you are supposed to get correct. I don't know how we can still fail on this question, right? So there I've got a past question in there. It says, rewrite the following sentence in the negative form. Leela eats fast food meals. Leela eats fast food meals. So if it tells me it did not happen, my response would be, right? Leela does not eat fast food meals. Why? Because I must first focus on the verb. Right? Now, eats tells me it's in the present tense. Okay? So I know eats is currently happening. But if I say does not eat fast food meals, automatically it did not happen. Okay? That is how easy and simple the negative sentence is. Very easy. And I hope you will get that one right. Okay? We move on to what we call the tag question. So the tag question, yes, it's only 1 mark. Only 1 mark. 1 mark we tend to lose. It's only a tag question. Now you must remember the following. It's not a question. It's a tag question. So you're not taking the sentence and making it into a question. It is a tag question. So what does a tag question require? You will see on the screen there, it speaks of a statement and a tag question. So the tag that you are adding, that's a question. That means what you are adding questions the tag. You will see there it says the hospital is crowded. Okay? That's the statement. The question there is, isn't it? Or is it not? Right? You are questioning the statement. I cannot emphasize this enough. You are questioning the statement. So, is it not? The statement is, it is overcrowded. Is it not? Right? I'm questioning the statement. Right. The other one says, a group of children were playing. Weren't they? Okay? Now, automatically, I cannot now constantly just want to use is it not, is it not, is it not, because it's a statement. I'm questioning the words in the statement. So, a group of children were playing, weren't they? It sticks to that plural form. Okay, weren't they? Now in the examination, you will only be required to write down the response. Okay? So if I look at 5.1.3, it says complete the following tag question. Write down only the missing words. The morning school and work rush is always chaotic. That's the statement. You need to provide the answer. So if the morning school and work rush is always chaotic and I need to question it, then obviously it would be the morning school and work rush is always chaotic, isn't it? Remember, I'm questioning the statement. So obviously my tag question I'm adding to the statement questions what I've just said. Therefore, my response is isn't it, right? I cannot stress how important this question is. It might seem easy to you, but it might also be the one thing you get wrong. Now just imagine you needed that 1 mark. You only needed 1 mark. And this was the 1 mark. Be very careful of this. Right, the next one says, complete the following tag question, write out only the missing words. The choir has participated in America's Got Talent. Didn't they? Didn't they? Okay? As simple as that. I'm questioning the statement. Now, ladies and gentlemen, how can I do this? Past papers. And I go back to 2015 and I practice all the tag questions. And I take the memorandum and I check, am I correct? And I tick, tell myself, you are correct. If it's wrong, I also tell myself, this is wrong, I need to do better. Just to ensure I get the tag question correct. Okay? So we move on to what we call, and this is supposed to be so familiar to you, parts of speech. Now I'm sure along the line coming up from grade 3, 4, 5, all right, all the way up to grade 12, you forgot parts of speech. Apparently that's what you do. You forget, right? Students forget everything. But we don't forget to be in our cell phone and with our friends. Discuss parts of speech with your friends. Google parts of speech. If you cannot remember them, utilize the things you have around you. So, why am I focusing on parts of speech? Let me remind you parts of speech, ladies and gentlemen. So, what is a noun? A naming word. A naming word. Now, obviously, you're going to tell me, or you're going to think to yourself right now, but sir, we know this. I ask you, grade 12, are you going to know this on the 31st of October? Are you going to recall exactly the function of the parts of speech? So obviously, I need to go through this. I need to remind you basics, right? Then we've got the common noun. Names given to ordinary objects. Abstract noun refers to something that we cannot see, touch, or measure. Collective noun, name of a collection or a group of objects, people or creatures. Proper noun begins with capital letters. These are names given to people, places, days, and months. And then we've got the adjective there, which describes the noun. Okay? Also, what we need to know and remember, right? There's a difference between adjective and adverb, and we're going to get them now. So the adjective describes the noun. So you will, in front of you, you will see on the screen there, you only see nouns, and then you've got the adjective. Okay? So when we move on, we look at the rest when it comes to the verb, etc. So that just has to do with the noun. And one we should also add there is a pronoun. Okay? A pronoun. When I speak of I, we, they, and she, right? Those would be the parts of speech under the nouns and the adjective. Then I have what we call the verb. The verb. The doing word. The one thing we tend to forget, right? In Afrikaans, we speak about the werkwoord. So it must immediately tell me werk. But a verb, we speak of a doing word. The action. Okay? I cannot forget the verb. Then we have the adverb. Ladies and gentlemen, this describes the verb. It focuses on time, manner, and place. Time, manner, and place. So what does it do? It describes the verb. Okay? The how, when, and the where. Okay? We've got then also the conjunction. this is used to connect two or more sentences. Two or more sentences, right? So we make use of that to connect the two sentences. We don't just decide this is exactly how I'm going to do it. We make use of that. So, if you can recall, I spoke about joining sentences. That is the purpose of a conjunction. Now, what are they? So, I need to know if I'm joining sentences, right? And, you recall that one? And, but, because. And there are so many other conjunctions you can make use of. But if I don't know them, I won't be able to identify them. And that is one of the problems we tend to have. Because in your question paper, you will be asked to identify the part of speech. And if you don't know them, you won't be able to identify them and provide the response. Right. Then we have what we call the article or determiner. These are the words a, and the, which usually precede nouns or adjectives. So automatically, if you are asked in the examination to identify the part of speech of a, an, or the, then you must know it's an article or it is a determiner. That is a basic rule that you need to know and need to understand. Okay? Then we have lastly the preposition. It says there the small words that usually relate to words or phrases to one another. Right? They relate them. So, for example, now I am going to say the bottle is on the table. So I am using the small word. Okay? The very small word, as it says there, that usually relate two words or phrases to one another, thus bringing them together. So, what would I look at? The bottle, okay? So the bottle is on the table. So it's bringing together your ideas, right? So automatically, the bottle is on is my preposition. I've identified my preposition. I've already spoken about my article. Okay? So there is my preposition. So there are very different types of prepositions. For example, I can tell you on, of, off, and the list goes on and on and on. You need to ensure you recall these prepositions. Because in the examination, you will be posed the question to identify the part of speech. But all these parts of speech form our sentences. We use them when we speak. We use them when we write. So when I think of writing my paper 3 examination, I'm making use of parts of speech. There will be nouns. There will be verbs. There will be adjectives. There will be adverbs. Right? And the list goes on and on. So why can I not ensure that I know them? I know the function of them to ensure when I write, when I answer, when I speak, I know exactly how to, instead of not being able to identify them. But it comes back to when I started with the basic errors. Basic errors. If I don't know them, if I can't identify them, it tells me I don't know my parts of speech. I don't know how to identify what is actually wrong in that sentence. Okay? So, let's look at 2 questions from a past paper. Okay? So, the first one says there, study for the following sentence, which says, the group was founded by Dr. Hugo Tempelman in Limpopo in 1994. State the part of speech of the underlined words in the sentence. Listen to that. The group was founded by Dr. Hugo Tempelman in Limpopo in 1994. State the part of speech of the underlined words used in the sentence. So all you need to do, write down the 2 words, provide what the parts of speech are for the 2 words. So, if I look at them, it speaks of by, the first, okay, and by. But now the immediately should tell me, I should know, it's an article, right, or a determiner. Okay, you write the word out in full. You don't do that. You will not get a mark. Also, do not in the examination do this. You get a mark for the first answer, not the second one. So, only provide the one answer. The other articles, I should know, a or an. Okay? Now, by. Where does by fit in? I need to ask myself. So, I go back to the sentence. It says the group was founded by Dr. Now, automatically the by tells me I must think further quickly to my parts of speech. Because the preposition told me it would bring the two things together. And the sentence says the group was founded. Right? That can also stand on its own. But there's information that speaks about Dr. Hugo Templeman. So would that then not be my preposition? Automatically, that is my response. Preposition. That is what I've identified. Okay? And those are my two responses just for that question. And I walk away here. I walk away with 2 marks. You see, every mark counts. Everything I show you, every mark counts at all times. Don't now think to yourself, I know what it is. And then you get into the examination. And then you don't know. Then you freeze up. And you look around in the hall where you are writing. And you're thinking and you're thinking. I can promise you grade 12. You will think and then you will hear the invigilator tell you there's 10 minutes left. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Right. Let's look at the second one. It says in 5.1.8 there, same instruction, study the following sentence. Sentence obviously being different. Okay. It says plan your meals for the week so that you have all the ingredients you need to prepare healthy food. State the part of speech of the underlined words as used in the sentence. Now, if I look at these words, I see ingredients. It's underlined. Okay. I see ingredients over there. And then the other one I have is healthy. Now, I need to ask myself, where do they fit in? What are the parts of speech here? So ingredients I know. It's something I can see, feel, and touch. It has to do with my senses. And I have to ask myself the question, where does that fit in? And immediately I think of my noun, don't you think? It's something I can see. Okay? It can't be a verb, obviously. It can't be an adjective or an adverb because it's not describing anything. So, my response would be ingredients. It's a noun. Because I can see it. I can feel it and I can touch it. Right? That's the basic thing we know. A noun, something I can feel, see, or touch. And then I've got healthy. So where does healthy fit in? Right? The sentence says, plan your meals for the week so that you have all the ingredients you need to prepare healthy food. So, what am I preparing? Healthy food. Prepare tells me, that's my verb. Okay? Speaks of prepare healthy food. Okay? What am I preparing? Food. So if ingredients is a noun, my question to you, wouldn't food also be a noun? Okay? So if food is my noun, then the word healthy is in front of it. It is then describing the type of food. Right? Thus, it makes this the adjective. Right? Because it describes the noun. Thus, I am speaking about healthy food. And that is how I identify my parts of speech. As simple as that. Now, all I've given you now, I've shown you easy, simple questions. And we'll get to the difficult ones. But the easy, simple questions, we tend to get wrong. And I cannot stress parts of speech enough to you. You will always be asked parts of speech in your question paper. And all the others, of course, that I've mentioned. But you need to ensure that you work through past papers. Ensure that you know and understand this is the part of speech. But also, don't work through past papers. And then you tell yourself, okay, they're just going to ask a noun, an adjective. You don't know, and neither does your teacher. You need to ensure that you know the parts of speech, every one of them. What is a noun? How do I identify the noun? And also knowing that there are types of nouns. How do I identify the types of nouns? The verb, which is obviously the easier one. Yes, that we all know, right? The adjective. What is the function of the adjective? How do I identify it? The adverb. How do I identify the adverb? Knowing that it speaks about time, manner, and place. And then obviously, I speak about my preposition, conjunction, a determiner, right? Those are my 7 parts of speech. How do I identify them and know, okay, this is the correct one, this is not the correct one? Take your time, prepare, and know how to answer these questions. Okay? So you need to ensure you know exactly how to identify them. Then lastly, question 5.1.1. The basic errors, which we tend to get 0 out of the 4. Always read the text. Like I've just told you, read the text before you start answering the questions. Then you will know exactly what to do and how to do it. Okay? So that is all for this session. I hope these skills, what I've just spoken about, you will utilize to ensure that you are successful at the end of this examination. I wish you all of the best, and I know and I trust that you will take these skills, utilize your past papers, what your teacher has taught you, and ensure parts of speech, spelling mistakes, negative sentences, and most importantly, tag sentences or tag questions will become your favorite thing for the 31st of October. Thank you.